Welcome to the first book of Level 2. I read it for the Bragging Rights collection. Treasure Island. Fun retelling of the classic novel by Robert Louis Stevenson. Yo ho ho. It's a non-stop pirate party. Part 1. Jim Hawkins, the Admiral Benbow, and a creepy seafaring guest. We begin with Jim Hawkins, your average teenage kid living in 18th century England. He helps his parents run a cozy little inn called the Admiral Benbow, which is perched along the coast. Life's pretty routine, serving tea, cleaning rooms, until one day, this gruff, scarred old seaman barges in, dragging a sea chest behind him. He introduces himself as Billy Bones, demands a room, and starts throwing gold coins around like it's Monopoly money. That's definitely not suspicious at all. Billy Bones is forever on edge, scanning the horizon, warning Jim to keep an eye out for a one-legged man. He's basically living in constant paranoia, fueled by endless rum, which can't be good for his health. He also loves telling terrifying pirate stories after a few swigs, raving about hidden treasure, sea battles, and old shipmates turned enemies. Jim's creeped out but also kinda psyched. This is the most excitement the Admiral Benbow has seen in ages. Billy Bones pays Jim a small allowance every month to watch for suspicious sailors and tip him off if they appear. Seems easy enough until shady characters start showing up, like Black Dog, a weaselly ex-shipmate of Bones, who tries to corner him in the inn. They brawl, glasses shatter, Black Dog flees. Billy Bones keels over from some sort of stroke. Not good. While Jim's mom tries to nurse Bones, another visitor arrives, a blind beggar named Pew, whose vibe is 100% sinister. He hands Billy Bones a black spot, basically the pirate version of a death threat. Bones freaks out, tries to stand up, collapses, and straight up dies right there. Awkward for the inn's Yelp reviews. Jim and his mom realize they're in deep trouble. Word on the street is that Billy Bones had a certain map that other pirates want. With no time to lose, Jim rummages through Bones's sea chest, snags a packet of papers including what looks like an old treasure map, and he and his mom escape. They barely avoid a gang of pirates led by the blind Pew, who storms the inn, looking for that map. Pew screams and curses when he can't find it, but soon meets a gruesome end, trampled by horses, no less. In short, Jim's humble innkeeping days are over. He's got a hold of Billy Bones's secret treasure map, which might lead to the legendary stash of Captain Flint, an infamous pirate. Next stop, find some grown-ups who can help figure out what to do, because Jim's pretty sure a teenage innkeeper isn't ready to handle this level of pirate drama on his own. Part 2. Dr. Livesey, Squire Trelawney, and preparing for adventure. Jim hightails it to the local bigwigs, Dr. Livesey, the local physician, and Squire Trelawney, the local rich guy with a fancy estate. He shows them the papers from Billy Bones's chest. Sure enough, there's a map of an island, complete with a big red X marking the spot of treasure. The note references Captain Flint, the deadliest pirate of his time, rumored to have buried an epic hoard of gold on some remote isle. Everyone's adrenaline spikes at the possibility of unimaginable riches. Squire Trelawney is all about it. He's like, OMG, let's mount a treasure hunting expedition right now. Dr. Livesey is intrigued but warns, be careful. Pirates might be after this map too. Jim's pumped. This is a chance to do something beyond cleaning the Admiral Benbow. Trelawney promises to cover all expenses. Buy a ship, hire a crew, and they'll sail to Treasure Island. Easy money, right? Well, Trelawney's got a big mouth. He can't keep the secret. While preparing a ship in Bristol, he yaps around town about the treasure. This basically puts out a neon sign for every shady seaman to come sniffing for a job. Dr. Livesey warns him to keep hush, but Trelawney's like, I got this, while simultaneously telling half of Bristol about hidden gold. Great job. Jim arrives in Bristol and meets a new friend, Long John Silver, a one-legged sea cook recommended by Trelawney. He's an older guy with a crutch, super friendly, always cracking jokes, runs a tavern called the Spyglass. Jim recalls Billy Bones's warning about a one-legged man, but Silver seems way too charming and polite to be that guy. He's cooking fish stew and humming sea shanties. Everyone loves him, from Trelawney to Dr. Livesey. He helps recruit other crewmen, vouching for their good character. Finally, the ship is ready. The Hispaniola, captained by a tough but capable seaman named Captain Smollett. However, Smollett's suspicious of all the talk about treasure. He doesn't like that the entire crew seems to know. He's worried about mutiny. Trelawney's offended, but Dr. Livesey is like, let's keep an eye on things. Jim's caught in the middle. He respects Smollett's seriousness, but also finds Silver's jolly attitude comforting. So off they go, setting sail for the secret island. Jim's got the map stashed away safely. Only Trelawney, Livesey, and Smollett know the details, or so they hope. The weather's good, morale is high, but an undercurrent of tension runs beneath the deck. Are these new crew members loyal, or is there something more sinister brewing? As the Hispaniola leaves harbor, Jim can't shake Billy Bones's paranoid vibe. He wonders if there's more to Silver than meets the eye. Part 3. Long John Silver's charms and Jim's eavesdropping nightmare. Shipboard life on the Hispaniola. Early mornings, hauling sails, scrubbing decks. Jim is assigned small tasks, sometimes helping in the galley where Long John Silver whips up surprisingly delicious meals. Silver jokes around, calls Jim lad, and teaches him random pirate slang, though he claims they're just sea phrases. The rest of the crew, a mix of rough sailors, seem to respect Silver. He's their cheerful quartermaster, always with a friendly word. Captain Smollett keeps the men in line, but the vibe is uneasy. Dr. Livesey, Squire Trelawney, and Jim gather occasionally to consult the treasure map in secret. They plot how they'll land on the island and search for Flint's hoard without letting the crew in on the location. Captain Smollett is definitely not a fan of how Trelawney hired so many unknown sailors, but it's too late now. Jim finds himself warming to Silver, though. The guy has a peg leg and a parrot named Captain Flint. Big yikes that the parrot's named after the dreaded pirate. But hey, he's charismatic. One fateful evening, Jim climbs into an apple barrel to grab a snack. He hears footsteps. Silver enters with a few sailors, chatting in hushed tones. Jim freezes. Then comes the bombshell. Silver is plotting a mutiny. He reveals that he was Flint's quartermaster back in the day, and many of these crew members were old pirates who served under Flint. Their plan? Wait until the treasure's found, then overthrow Smollett, Livesey, and Trelawney, take the gold for themselves, and presumably kill any resistors. Jim nearly chokes on his apple core. This is the one-legged man Billy Bones warned about. Silver brags about how he fooled them all, especially Trelawney with his clean record. He's just waiting for the perfect moment to pounce. Another sailor suggests they mutiny earlier, but Silver advises caution. If they do it too soon, they won't know where the map leads. They need the honest men to lead them to the treasure. Then bam, betrayal. Suddenly, a shout calls the crew to deck, scattering the conspirators. Jim, heart hammering, crawls out of the barrel. He's just discovered a horrifying truth. Half the ship is basically pirates under Silver's command. He rushes to Captain Smollett, Dr. Livesey, and Trelawney, spills everything. They're floored but also kind of relieved to confirm their suspicions. Smollett's like, we keep this quiet. Let them think we're clueless until we reach the island. Then we'll figure out a plan. They decide to appear normal, act polite to Silver and crew, and wait for an opportunity to gain the upper hand. Jim can't sleep that night. Silver's friendly grin now seems menacing. He wonders if they can outsmart a whole band of cutthroats. The island is still days away, and the biggest showdown in Jim's life is looming. This is no casual treasure hunt. It's life or death. Part 4. Landfall on Treasure Island and the escape to the stockade. At last, Treasure Island comes into view, a rugged place with dense forests, high hills, and a nasty swampy area. Trelawney gawks, imagining gold piles. Captain Smollett fakes an air of normalcy, letting Silver and the mutineers think they're none the wiser. Smollett suggests letting half the crew go ashore on shore leave to gather fruit and explore. Silver's stoked at this chance. He thinks he can manipulate the situation. Jim, overwhelmed by curiosity, sneaks onto one of the small boats going ashore. He's hoping to gather intel, or maybe find a vantage point. As soon as he sets foot on the island, he's like, this place is creepy. The thick foliage, weird bird calls, the sense that danger lurks behind every palm tree. He breaks away from the group and eavesdrops again, seeing Silver talk to a hesitant pirate. That pirate wants to back out of the mutiny, but Silver promptly murders him, coldly and calmly. Jim's horrified, realizing Silver is not just a cunning talker but also lethal. Terrified, Jim flees into the forest. He stumbles around, eventually encountering a wild, ragged man named Ben Gunn, an ex-pirate who's been marooned on the island for 3 years. He's half crazy, living off goats and berries, but speaks English. He reveals he once sailed with Flint's crew but had a falling out. He hints that he knows something about the treasure. Maybe he's found it. He offers to help Jim's side if they promise him a portion of the loot and a safe return home. Jim's like, yes, absolutely, because they need all the allies they can get. Meanwhile, on the ship, Captain Smollett realizes the mutiny is about to blow up. He organizes the loyal men, Dr. Livesey, Trelawney, plus a few reliable hands, to move supplies and guns into an old stockade fort on the island. They figure it's easier to defend on land than get attacked at sea by pirates who might sabotage the Hispaniola. So they row back and forth, under the pirates' noses, gathering ammo and provisions. Trelawney's a decent shot, picking off a couple mutineers who try to stop them. The loyal crew sets up in the stockade, a wooden fort with a fence, decent cover, and a water supply. Jim eventually spots the stockade's location and reunites with his friends. Everyone's relieved to see he's alive. He recounts meeting Ben Gunn. They're intrigued. Maybe this maroon dude can help. Now it's official. The loyal group is holed up in a fort, surrounded by a bunch of pirates led by a cunning one-legged psycho. They have limited ammo, minimal manpower, and the looming question: where exactly is the treasure? Surviving the next 24 hours is the main priority. The big confrontation is inevitable. Silver's not going to let them walk away with the map. Part 5. Siege of the Stockade and the Parley with Silver. Dawn at the stockade. The loyal crew is on high alert. Captain Smollett organizes watch shifts. They can see the pirates lurking in the trees, snickering or shouting threats. A morning volley of gunfire crackles. Trelawney and Livesey exchange shots with the mutineers. It's low-key warfare. Jim's adrenaline is off the charts. He can't believe yesterday he was an innkeeper's kid, and now he's literally in a gunfight with pirates. Then Long John Silver approaches under a white flag, wanting a parley, a chat with Smollett. Smollett allows him inside the stockade's fence. Silver, on his crutch, tries to charm them. He's like, let's strike a deal, give me the map, and I'll spare your lives. He brags about having the numbers. Dr. Livesey retorts, we know you're scum. We won't trust your promises. Smollett basically says, screw you, come take the map if you dare. Silver gets pissed. He drops the friendly mask, threatens them with pieces of 8 bravado, and hobbles away, snarling that they'll regret it. Sure enough, a major assault follows. Pirates charge the stockade, guns blazing. The loyal men fight valiantly. Jim fires a musket for the first time, trembling with fear but determined. The battle is chaotic. Smoke everywhere, pirates climbing the walls, cutlass clanging. Trelawney's shooting from a window like a sniper. Dr. Livesey is patching up the wounded in real time. At least 2 pirates get dropped, but the loyal side loses a man or 2 as well. Smollett takes a bullet in the shoulder. It's bloody and intense, but eventually, the pirates retreat. The stockade still stands, though it's taken a beating. Nightfall comes, and everyone's battered. Smollett's injured, which is a big morale blow. He's still barking orders, though. Dr. Livesey wants to meet with Ben Gunn to see if there's some advantage. Jim's restless, deciding on a bold plan. He remembers that the Hispaniola is still anchored near shore, lightly guarded. If the pirate sees it fully, the loyalists are doomed. So Jim sneaks out, hoping to find a boat or something to cut the Hispaniola loose. He figures it's worth a shot. He's acting on impulse, typical teenage bravado. But this single act might change the entire balance. If he can set the ship adrift or move it, the pirates lose their best resource. So while the rest hunker down, Jim slips off into the darkness. He's not sure if anyone notices. This is high-stakes stealth. If the pirates catch him, game over. But Jim's fueled by a mix of fear, excitement, and the memory of what Billy Bones started. He's determined to prove himself, maybe be the hero who takes the ship away from Silver. Down by the shore, the tide sloshes, the moon glints on the water, and Jim's about to attempt the biggest stunt of his life. Part 6. Jim's solo raid on the Hispaniola. Jim trudges through the island's underbrush, dodging pirate patrols. He stumbles upon Ben Gunn's coracle, a tiny makeshift boat the marooned man built. It's basically a wobbly raft, but hey, it floats. Perfect for a stealth mission. Jim pushes it into the water, prays it won't sink, and paddles toward the Hispaniola under the cover of night. He can see lanterns on deck, hears drunken singing. Looks like the pirates on board are partying or at least in disarray. Jim's plan? Cut the anchor cable so the ship drifts with the current. If luck's on his side, it'll run aground somewhere not easily accessible to the pirate camp. Then the loyalists can reclaim it later. It's a major gamble, especially for a teenager in a dinky boat. He approaches quietly, climbs up the side, and sees two pirates, Israel Hands and another, fighting or squabbling, clearly hammered. They don't even notice Jim slip past them to the rope. With a few slices of his knife, the anchor cable is severed. The Hispaniola starts drifting. Jim scrambles back to his coracle, nearly dropping his knife in panic. The ship, now free, begins to swirl away from the island's anchorage. Success. Jim tries to paddle away, but the coracle is no speedboat and the current's tricky. Dawn breaks, revealing a new problem. The Hispaniola's not just drifting peacefully, it's moving unpredictably, and Jim's stuck out in open water. At one point, the pirate Israel Hands spots Jim. A chase ensues in the harbor. The big ship nearly runs him down. Eventually, Jim sees the other pirate dead or thrown overboard. Now it's just Israel Hands left alive on the ship, wounded but dangerous. The ship collides with some reef or sandbar, half grounding itself. Jim seizes the moment, climbs aboard again, coracle lost behind. He finds Hands with a bullet in his leg, who begs for medical help. Jim disarms him, feeling slightly guilty but mostly wanting to survive. He steers the ship into a hidden cove, grounding it safely. While Jim's distracted with the sails, Hands attacks with a knife. They duel on the tilted deck. Jim's forced to shoot him. Hands plunges overboard, cursing. Another near death for Jim. Exhausted, Jim secures the ship, then decides to head back to the stockade to share the good news. He's legit proud that he single-handedly reclaimed the Hispaniola from pirates. That's some epic teenage hero stuff. So at night, he sneaks ashore again, trudges to the fort. But instead of a warm welcome from Captain Smollett and company, he enters the stockade to find Long John Silver and the pirates chilling by the fire. Jim's like, oh no. He's walked straight into the enemy's new HQ. The loyal crew is gone, and Jim's cornered. Silver grins. Ah, Jim, welcome, lad. That's a cliffhanger if there ever was one. How in the world did the pirates capture the fort? And where are Jim's friends? Part 7. Captured by Silver, another mutiny twist. Jim's heart drops. The pirates look ragged but triumphant. Silver, of course, is smiling in that creepy fatherly way. He announces to his men, Jim here is our lucky charm, or something equally manipulative. The other pirates want to kill Jim on the spot because they blame him for messing with the ship. But Silver holds them back, claiming the boy might be useful. Jim, swallowing fear, stands tall and basically tells Silver to do his worst. He's proud of reclaiming the Hispaniola. Silver's crew roars with rage, but the one-legged sea dog hushes them. He tries to bargain. If Jim cooperates, maybe they can still get that treasure. Jim demands to know what happened to his friends. Silver explains that Dr. Livesey approached them under a truce, offered to trade the fort for safe passage. The Loyalists took supplies and relocated. Why? Possibly because the place was too hard to defend with wounded Smollett, or maybe they have a plan. The pirates hold a council. They're fed up with losing men, fed up with Silver's leadership. They vote to depose him. But then the mysterious black spot appears, pirate tradition for condemnation. Silver calmly shows them the treasure map. The map, complete with instructions from Flint. Everyone freaks out, re-electing him captain on the spot. Silver has it because Dr. Livesey gave it to him? That's suspicious. Why would the doc give up the map? Silver doesn't question it too deeply, just milks the advantage. Jim sits there, stunned, realizing that Livesey must be playing some deeper game. After the council, Silver confides in Jim. We're both in trouble. If I lose control, they'll kill you and maybe me too. Let's keep each other alive, kid. It's a weird alliance. Jim can't fully trust him but sees no better option. Next morning, Dr. Livesey shows up at the fort, strolling and unarmed. The pirates let him in because Silver says so. The doc checks on Jim's health like a boss and tries to quietly see if Jim wants to escape. But Jim says no. He gave Silver his word to stay put. The doc is like, okay, interesting, and leaves. The pirates are suspicious. Now it's time to hunt treasure. They're all itching to follow that map. Silver ropes Jim along as a hostage. The pirates, hungry for gold, march out of the fort into the island's interior, heading for the big hill that marks Skeleton Island, near the Spyglass Ridge, etc. Jim can't help but notice the tension among them. Some are severely wounded. Morale is shaky. They're gambling everything on a big payday. Meanwhile, Jim is bracing for the final showdown. Is this treasure even real? Will Dr. Livesey and Trelawney ambush them? And whose side is Silver truly on? Part 8. The search for Flint's treasure and spooky surprises. The pirate band, with Jim in tow, trudges through the jungle. The map leads them to landmarks with eerie names like the Skeleton Tree or Captain Flint's pointer. They're expecting to see signs of buried loot. The atmosphere is tense, mosquitoes buzzing, the heat oppressive, the men bickering. Then, out of nowhere, a voice booms through the trees, 15 men on the dead man's chest. Oh, and a bottle of rum. The pirates freak out, thinking it's Captain Flint's ghost. They're ready to bail. Silver tries to keep them calm, insisting it's just an echo or a trick. They press on, eventually finding a clearing with a giant excavation site. It's an empty pit. The treasure's already gone. The pirates are enraged, cursing Flint, cursing Silver, suspecting betrayal. They find an old skeleton propped as a compass pointer, Flint's sick idea of a joke. Now the men blame Silver. They think he and Jim are conspiring. The tension snaps. A couple pirates move to kill them both. Suddenly, shots ring out. Dr. Livesey, Ben Gunn, and the others ambush from the treeline. A firefight ensues. Pirates drop left and right. The few survivors flee. Turns out, Ben Gunn had found the treasure months/years ago, moved it to his cave hideout. That's why the pit is empty. Dr. Livesey and company gave the map to Silver on purpose, leading them to a worthless hole so they could set an ambush. Genius strategy. Now the pirates are mostly neutralized. Silver, seeing the writing on the wall, sides with the loyal group. He's like, haha, I was always on your side, Doc, acting like a clever chameleon. Captain Smollett, though injured, is relieved to see that the treasure is safe, stored in Gunn's cave. Everyone's like, yay, we won, but also side-eyeing Silver because who knows what trick he might pull next. They collect the massive hoard of gold, coins, jewels, all hidden in that cave. It's more than they ever dreamed. The plan, haul it down to the Hispaniola, which Jim helpfully reclaimed, load up and sail home. The remaining pirates? They're either captured, dead, or ran off. A handful beg for mercy, but Smollett's not feeling generous after all the betrayal. They eventually leave a few marooned, albeit with supplies. That's savage, but also pirate code, I guess. Silver is allowed to help transport the treasure under guard. Jim can't decide if he hates Silver or respects his cunning. For now, they share a weird bond. Everyone's exhausted, but the main objective, getting out alive with the gold, is nearly complete. They sail the Hispaniola around the island, load up chest after chest. The island's silhouettes fade behind them. Next stop, civilization, if no more pirate surprises pop up. But with Silver aboard, you can never say never. Part 9. Homeward Bound, Long John's disappearing act and aftermath. The Hispaniola weighs anchor, leaving Treasure Island behind. On board, Captain Smollett, Dr. Livesey, Squire Trelawney, Jim, and a reduced crew, plus Long John Silver as a sort of prisoner. They also have the epic fortune of Captain Flint's gold. Everyone's relieved it's over, hoping for a smooth voyage home. The weather cooperates for once, sails billowing under clear skies. But tension persists. Silver is polite, helpful even, but they can't let him roam free. He's chained up at times or under watch. Dr. Livesey sees glimpses of humanity in him but warns Jim not to be fooled. Silver's a survivor, always plotting. Sure enough, one night during the last leg of the journey, Silver vanishes. So does a small portion of the treasure. He left behind a polite note, basically. Thanks for your tolerance, mates. I'll see you around, maybe. Best of luck with the gold. The crew is half livid, half impressed. They suspect he bribed a watchman or used some hidden lockpick. However it happened, he's gone, presumably to vanish among the ports, living out his days as a cunning rogue. Jim has mixed emotions. On one hand, Silver tried to kill them. On the other, he was weirdly fatherly at times. But in the end, the man's a pirate, and pirates got a pirate. The Hispaniola sails on, eventually making landfall in England. Squire Trelawney, Dr. Livesey, and Captain Smollett are greeted as heroes, though Smollett soon retires, done with insane adventures. The treasure is divvied up. Jim gets a share that sets him up for life. He helps his mom fix the Admiral Benbow, presumably turning it into the coolest inn on the coast. Ben Gunn? He squanders his gold in like 19 days, ends up poor again, but at least he's free from that island. Trelawney invests his portion in fancy estates. Dr. Livesey keeps working as a doctor, probably with a bigger house. As for Jim, he never quite shakes the nightmares of the island, the echo of pieces of eight, from Parrot or the memory of Silver's one-legged silhouette. He vows never to seek more treasure. That one trip was enough to last a lifetime. Thus concludes Treasure Island, a tale of hidden maps, pirate mutinies, and a boy forced to grow up fast on a savage island. The moral? Greed leads to betrayal and violence, but courage and loyalty can prevail. Also, never trust a one-legged sea cook who's too charming for his own good. Even decades later, Jim can't hear the waves at night without recalling that hair-raising adventure. But he's got a comfortable life, courtesy of Flint's gold, and a hell of a story to tell for the rest of his days. Wow, you navigated the high seas of Treasure Island with the skill of a master pirate. Long John Silver's got nothing on your literary determination. Next up in Level 2, Book 2, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. Join Tom, Huck, and the gang as they take small-town chaos to a whole new level with buried treasure, spooky caves, and plenty of trouble along the way. Also, don't forget to smash that subscribe button and ring the bell to stay in the loop for all our epic content. And guess what? A new fun retelling audiobook drops every single weekday.